it's not too late to get to the power rankings. Week 18, presented by our friends at Toyota. This may be the last one of the year, unless there's a sponsored segment next week. Then we'll do another set of them. Number one is still the Kansas City Chiefs. And, Devin, it feels like 5 weeks since they've played. But they started week 17, thumping the Steelers. You were in Pittsburgh. It does feel like a long time ago. They're still number one. Do you have any reaction to the first column there of 1 through 8? Anybody too high? Anybody too low?
Eagles are too low. The Eagles lost a game to the Commanders without Jalen Hurts. A healthy Eagles is what I'm assuming. Jalen Hurts will be back. I still have them playing just unbelievable football. I would put them at 2, honestly. I think the Eagles are playing good football. I would still have them at 2. I think that one thing, and you look at Jalen Hurts going out, even coming back and playing against Dallas. I know Dallas is out of it, but having the quarterback, having Kenny Pickett take the snaps all week, they went in there. They steamrolled Dallas. So I would still have Philadelphia. I think Kansas City is 1. Kansas City has been up there even when they didn't look great, and now Kansas City looks like a team that is poised to get back to the Super Bowl. So they're 1, and I have no problem with the other ones. I like Minnesota. I'm going to like Minnesota Sunday night in Detroit. I think their health of their team is going to be the difference. So I like everything else, but I would have the Eagles up higher. I think when they're healthy, they were playing the best ball, honestly. But I think the Chiefs, I give it to them on their pedigree, but Eagles would be 2 for me.
And, all this talk about the Vikings and the Lions, a team like the Eagles has to love that because they can kind of fly under radar now.
Yep.
And they're the team of the 3 that's been to a Super Bowl more recently. And last year they were 10-1 until the wheels came off, and they clearly have learned lessons since then. I know Sims is a believer in the ability of Brian Flores' defense to maybe confuse and confound the Eagles because what they do isn't all that complicated. They're just really good at it. And that might be what it comes down to. Hey, great plan by the Vikings, but look at how Josh Jacobs was gashing them on Sunday. Saquon Barkley, who gashed the hell out of them during a late regular season game in 2022 and in the playoffs a couple of weeks later when he was with the Giants. That could be a problem if they ever get together, but that may happen in Minnesota, which would be a factor that plays in the Vikings' favor if it comes to that. Yeah, look, there are several teams that you would put in serious shortlist contender category. I have a hard time. Like, I want to say the Ravens are a contender, but I feel like they're just too prone to stepping in a pothole on their way to getting to the top of the mountain. But, I don't know. I guess I could go the full first column are real contenders. And the Super Bowl teams are going to come from those 8. A few weeks ago, it was down to 3 or 4. I feel like maybe there's more teams as we get closer to the playoffs that are in serious contention.
I see what you're saying about Baltimore. I think Baltimore right now at that 6th spot is, I think, the best place for them. I thought last year they were kind of at the 1 spot for a lot of people going in. They won home field, all of that, number 1 seed. I think this is where they need to be, draped around that 6th spot where a lot of people saying, we thought this was the year, but they're not in it. I think they can then just focus on themselves, do what they do, don't have all the pressure. And I think they're a dangerous team going into the playoffs this year because they don't have to deal with everything. Whereas you look at like Buffalo, to me, like there's a feeling of this is the year for Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills. If they want to win a Super Bowl, it kind of feels like it's here right now for them to go take. And that's going to be a lot of pressure, especially if all these teams in AFC, if Kansas City stays in it like we think, at the AFC Championship, you're going to have to go to Arrowhead to try to get the champs out of there. And I think Baltimore will have a lot less pressure going there in a game where it feels like they shouldn't win, that I think might play to their advantage, where last year I thought they kind of panicked a little bit and got away from what they wanted to do going into that game.
We saw it in 2019 when they were the 1 seeds and they lost on a Saturday night at home to the Titans. And that's the curse if there is one. You want to be the 1 seed if you can, but when the divisional round game rolls around and you're facing a team that played wild card round and won, and they got nothing to lose, and you've got all the pressure on your shoulders, that's a challenge. And that's one of the the realities that will arise in the aftermath of the Lions-Vikings game. Hey, we won. Well, now we got to go sit home for a week and watch the team we just beat maybe go and win, and we may have a rematch with them in 2 weeks, and they will have just played and won, and they want another shot at us. And they're the team that's going to be overlooked, and they're going to be the team that's saltier and more pissed off. So that could be a real factor in the rematch if there is one between the Vikings and the Lions. Let's look at column 2, 9 through 16. All those teams are making the playoffs except two of them. We just don't know which two are going to fall off because Broncos, Bengals are on there, and Bucks and Falcons are on there. Who is the team, if any, from that second 8 that can disrupt the most in the postseason, if not get all the way to a Super Bowl?
I'm so tempted to say the Bengals because of what Joe Burrow's doing. I just believe in the playoffs, even though they're a scary, dangerous team. You need a defense. So I'm gonna go with Denver. I think the way Denver's playing, I know they lost to the Bengals in a shootout game on Saturday, kind of, but I think what they have, I think Sean Payton, the ability in this team has grown and gotten better. I think they're a team who they have just this playoff style football. Them and right behind them would be the Chargers for me, of like this style that you can go and you can win games playing good defense, and you're good enough on offense to overcome and have a last drive or to have a big drive in the game to ultimately win the game. I just think those two teams have that kind of formula that if you have to go play in the cold and the game's not kind of permitted for you to be throwing the ball all over the field, both those teams can go win an ugly style game, where that would be my concern for the Bengals if they got into the playoffs, that, hey, if they go play and it's snowing or it's a very windy game, can your defense get enough stops? Can they stop the run and do those different things to win one of those ugly style games?
Well, we saw them do it in Buffalo 2 years ago, but that was a stronger defense ago as well for Cincinnati. And first, they got to get in. They play the Steelers on Saturday night. If they win, they're still alive, but they need both the Dolphins to lose to the Jets and the Broncos to lose to a Chiefs team that hasn't officially announced it yet. I expect it to come as soon as today. It's going to be the B team for the Kansas City Chiefs, so the Broncos have a chance to get in. The Chiefs may regret letting them in, and I wonder if what happened last night with the Lions changes Andy Reid's approach, especially since you probably should knock the Broncos out when you can, because you don't want a division rival coming to town to face you in the postseason if you can avoid it. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.